It's a great joy to be here, and I do not take it for granted. Thank you so much, Dr. Aderito, for this privilege. And thank you to the entire SQI team, because I believe that without the team's support, I wouldn't be here. So I really, really appreciate this. And I feel that what is going on here, thank you so much, sir. Yes, sir, Dr. Fred. What is going on here is actually a very revolutionary concept. A lot of times, the basic things most training centers, most schools for ICT do is just to teach skills. But in this present world we are, you cannot really go too far without soft skills, right? So you learn the art skills, the tech skills, but the soft skills are getting more and more important than ever. So I believe that you've been having, experiences with different topics you mentioned, but the topic I'm going to be sharing about today is basically about attitude, all right? And I trust that you would find this a very instructive, time together, and your life will not remain the same, right? Are we together in the house? Good, good. So a very quick introduction. I think sitting down and standing up is what I'm going to do. I don't feel too comfortable sitting down right now. I will just stand up, and move around if possible, and also ask for some names because I'm going to be asking questions as it were. So I'll be sharing about the attitudes that are needed for altitude, right? So altitude is basically upward ascent, isn't it? Like the movement upward, right? How many people know that that's what altitude means? Altitude means moving upwards, right? Or height. If you travel anywhere, one of the things you discover, anytime I have to take a flight, I love sitting by the window, right? That's because I want to look down at this earth. And then you see everything that seems so gigantic, so massive, on the floor level, on the ground level. You see them so tiny, right? You see the massive buildings. They look so tiny. You see the cars. You know all those toy cars we had when we were small, those plastic toy cars. Exactly. That's how everything looks from above. And that's altitude. Altitude always gives you perspective to life. It helps you to realize the real measure of things in life. By the time you move high, you will discover that most of the things that people struggle with and struggle about, you'll find that they are very, very insignificant. They are very little, right? But that's just to let you know that altitude is something you must embrace. Right? Say, I will embrace altitude. Say, I will embrace upward movement. Say, I will embrace upward and forward movement. Thank you. So, when he was sharing earlier, he mentioned, have you ever met somebody you've always admired or something like that? And it just brought me back to an experience I had in 2017. So there's this man called Leke Alder. How many people know Leke Alder? Oh, wow. Okay. You need to, there are some amazing men in Nigeria and women in Nigeria, like amazing men and women. Their minds are exceptional. Leke Alder is one of them. How many of you have been to GT Bank before? When you enter that enclosed door, right? Do you normally hear a song singing? I believe something, that song was sung by Asha, right? But do you know that the brain behind that entire branding for GT Bank was Leke Alder? How many of us became GT Bank customers because of the way they came out as at the time they came out then? Like, their buildings were different. Every other person, their building was always the same. First Bank, Union Bank, all of them. The normal square buildings or just skyscrapers. But you see GT Bank buildings, one will look like a triangle, another will look like a circle. And you'll be like, wow, I think I want to be part of this, culture, because it was forward thinking. It was innovative. And they swept a lot of young people back then into their bank. They were the first to start with zero balance. How many people remember that? But the entire brand strategy came from Alder Consulting. How many people know Shubomi Plumter? Like Shubomi Plumter worked with Alder, and is like his protege, is like the major protege. Now, I'm mentioning people. This is very, very important. Anyway, it's part of what I'm going to share today. Very important for you to, identify people around you. Sometimes we like looking at role models from afar off. Those in the US, those in the we have a lot of people right here within reach that are actually doing amazing things. So later on, I've been following this man since 2006. Like, I fell in love with his mind. I'll read things about him online, and I'll be like, how I wish I could meet this man. How I wish I could meet this man. 2007, not 2006, 2007. And so, in 2017, I and somebody decided to write a book on business, right? So, as we decided to write a book on business, but a certain kind of business, we're going to write a book on redemptive business, right? Business done a certain way. So, and this person is far older than I am. I'm going to share a little bit about her very soon. So we began to talk to people that it was going to be an anthology, right? Meaning that there will be different chapters written by different authors, right? So we began to talk to people that were going to write the book. But after a while, she said, we both arrived at that conclusion almost at the same time. We said, it seems it would be better if we first practice this kind of business before we write a book about it. So instead of just writing a book that we have never practiced it in the nitty-gritty of daily business life, let's spend this book project and let's practice this redemptive business for a while. And after we have seen what it really is, right, and how it really works, then we're going to write about it. So we decided to host a boot camp for young entrepreneurs in Ibadan. It was going to be a closed-door meeting. Now, this woman, so we're like, okay, what are the speakers that will come around, you know? And then I was like, okay, this person, and she just said, Leke Elder can come around. I was like, what? Leke Elder? Okay, tell me more. She said, he's my husband's friend. They finished from the same school. I was like, for real? That was how the next thing was. She had called her husband, please help us tell Ellie that, you know, we want him at an event in Ibadan. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll do it for you. Now, on a normal day, if Leke Elder will have a consultation with you for 1 hour, $100,000. $100,000. And here was Leke Elder. He came, he drove from Lagos, and then he came for that meeting. After he finished sharing, this woman now said, hey, here is David. David would like to talk with you about a few things. The next thing was, I got to sit with Leke Elder. We sat opposite each other, and we talked for 5 minutes. It was 5 minutes. But in that 5 minutes, my mind was blown. First thing was, I first lost my train of thought. Like, you know, I've been waiting to see this man all this while. So what am I going to see? What am I going to see? What am I going to say? And then I began to say what I wanted to say. And in 5 minutes, he expanded and exploded the little thing I thought I had thought through very well. And he just blew it out of proportion. And I was like, oh boy, this is amazing. Now, how did I arrive at that point where I was able to sit with someone like that? That is what I'm going to be sharing about. Altitude, the attitudes for altitude. All right. So there are going to be about 7 of them. And that was not my last experience with Leke Elder. I mean, that was not the last one. There were other experiences with him. But I'm going to be sharing the attitudes for altitude. What are the things you need to make rapid progress? What are the things you need not to stay stationary for too long? Not to stay at a spot for too long. What are the things that make you the first person people think about when they need to recommend people? What are the things that make you top of mind when somebody knows that something good is about to happen and I'm meant to recommend somebody? And your name, sorry, what's your name? Toby. So imagine that somebody was just approached right now and said, and was asked, wait, Shegun, do you have anybody that can actually execute this kind of project, like lead the project? I mean, I don't want to bother myself about the project. I just need somebody who is competent enough to lead the project. And the person thinks, and he has about 300 people that he feels could fit in that role. And the first name that comes to his mind is Toby. Are you getting the picture? How do you arrive at that point? What are the things you do that help you to arrive at that point? The first thing, you need to understand and embrace the golden rule. Say the golden rule. Say the golden rule. What's the golden rule? How many people know what the golden rule is? Okay, no, I'm not going to allow you to answer. Anybody know what the golden rule is? Okay, so the golden rule is do to others what you want them to do to you. Can you repeat that after me? The golden rule is do to others what you want them to do to you. See, that principle is a major game changer for anybody who practices it. To learn and to do to others what you want them to do to you is a game changer. What it does is that you are able to live life without owing any man anything. What I mean by that is you don't feel like you owe any man anything. And I will explain that right now. Now, imagine that. Okay, let me give this illustration. So there was a time that, I started a company with some people. And, right, I was in a promotion, but I started a company with them. However, at a point, it seemed like some things happened. And then, I was excused from the team, from the company. So I was just like, oh, that's fine. It's okay. First of all, what I did was to make excuses for them. That, okay, maybe it is because of this or because of this or because of this. So after that had happened, the expectation was that I wouldn't care about that company anymore. But you know what I kept doing? I kept sending any opportunity that I saw that fit with what they were doing. I'll just send it. I said, I saw this when I was reading this. Can you check it out? It might help. And I kept doing that again and again. And after 1 year, the one of the co-founders of the company called me and said, I have not seen someone like you before. Say, like on a normal day, in fact, it would be understandable if you were angry. But instead, you kept reaching out and reaching out and reaching out. Like, when the person started talking, he got to it, I just started crying. Because I just felt like, for me, it was just the normal way of living. Like, that's just the normal way to live. Not because I was expecting a reward. But the things I've gotten after that time, I mean, like, if I try to quantify them, they are, massive. Like, they are very, very massive. But what led to that was because that rule is the first principle I live by. Do to others what you want them to do to you. If you don't like others to cheat you, then don't cheat other people. If you don't like others to take you for granted, don't take them for granted. If you don't like people promising you and breaking promises, then don't do the same. If you can have this as the bedrock of your attitudes, there is no limit to the height you can attain. I can assure you. And it doesn't see it. I'll share some stories now. I mean, like, I believe that stories help to drive home the point, right? Stories help to drive home the point. Okay, so that's the first one. We don't want to take too long because of time, but, because we still have some things to do. But that's the first one. Can somebody repeat it again? What's the first principle? Do to others what you want them to do to you. The golden rule. Every single time. Whenever you want to take a decision, there was a particular time somebody, a younger person who I had mentored for a while, and all of that, really poured out into the person. The person, I don't know what happened to him. One day he just I don't know what happened. He just began to insult me on chat. And I was like, interesting. So I was at the car that day and I was reading what he was writing. And I was like, But the funny thing? I could have done two things, which was to report him to two people. And if I had reported him, there was some opportunities that had already opened up to him through my recommendation. They will have been shut down instantly. So I was in between. Kai, what do I do? Do I report this person? Or do I just absorb everything? So the only thing I now did was, I actually did not report the person. I absorbed it. But I now started praying that God should help him not to repeat the same thing with that other person. I hope you're getting it. Now, the reason is because it was frustration that moved him to that point. So because later, he now mentioned some things that happened. And I'm like, but frustration should never make you overstep your bounds. No. You should not feel like you are so frustrated that you can talk. Words are like what? Eggs. When you have said them, I have forgiven, but those words still come back once in a while. You flash. And I'm like, Do we get it? So it's very important that you don't do to others what you don't want them to do to you. That's the first thing. Number two, you must be a student for life. That's number two. A student for life. And to be a student, in fact, being a learner is actually a proof of humility. If you're really a learner, the reason why you go to somebody else to learn from them is because they have what you don't have, isn't it? And then you have to go and humble yourself and say, please, I don't know what you know. Teach me. Be a student for what? For life. Last year, something happened that actually made a difference. And being a student is many things. You have knowledge, you have all of that, but there are some other things that it does for you, like it fast tracks for you. So last year, there was a particular company I had been studying them since about 2018. Like, I felt like this company looks like the kind of company I want to build. So they're in New York. So I was studying them, reading almost everything about them. So I signed up for their newsletter. So they hold an annual academy, right? And this academy, you have to fly to New York for the sessions. So I was thinking about it. Like, so actually fly and go take the course there and all of that is expensive. So I was like, okay, when the money comes, I will do that. And then coronavirus now came. And then there was lockdown. But they needed to still hold the academy, right? So last year, they put it out. They sent it. I saw the message in my inbox that, hey, Praxis Academy is open for this year. And it will be done virtually this time around. I was like, wow, oh, well, I was so excited. And then I saw the bill, right? The amount we're going to pay. And I was like, this amount will not be too big. But I decided to apply for a scholarship because it was, it could stretch you a bit also. So I applied for a scholarship. I got 75% of the funds off. And then I paid for the rest. Now, what that thing did to me, the things they taught us in class, on a normal day, I had already read it on their website and from their resources. So I studied it again and again and again. The book we were basically using was something that I think I had bought even before that time, right? So I wouldn't say that there was entirely new knowledge. But what happened was I entered a network that has changed me right now. Being a student introduces you to new experiences and new people. And it's one of the things. See, the gift of men is one of the greatest gifts you could ever pray for. I tell you, what you will struggle for years to do, a simple recommendation will just open the door. Are we getting it? A single recommendation. And what happened was I wanted to learn the practical aspect of what I've been reading theoretically. That was why I applied for that program. I wanted to hear from other entrepreneurs who were practicing the principles and who had lived it for many years. And so during the course of the program, we had small groups, small cohorts. So I was part of about 11 other people. And then in that cohort, you had to explain what you were learning. You had to explain it practically. Like, so this is what I learned, and this is how it applies to my business. This is what I learned, this is how it applies to my business. So I was just being a normal student who was engaging in the classes consistently. I had an accident around the period when, the classes were going, but I still joined class just to I need to, keep up with this stuff. So I didn't know that one young man in the team, in that cohort, had been studying me, was the group leader. So he had been studying me for a while, like, oh, wow, this person is always responding, always answering, always being vulnerable. Like, I would say it as it is. I was not trying to sugarcoat my experience. So I'll just say it as it is. So the next thing was one of the other group leaders, there were two, at the end of the program now designed a sort of, flyer that showed where each of us were located in the world because we were from different countries. And then also the name of our companies, the name of the companies were either representing or leading. So that day after I got the design, I just said, let me search for what each of these, companies are doing, And then I got to one of them called Branches. And I loved what they were doing. I was like, amazing stuff. So I quickly reached out and said, I love what you're doing. So I reached out to the first group leader because he was from Branches. So I reached out to him and said, I read about what you guys are doing. I'm really excited about it. What's the application process? So he told me, and he said, actually, all the time during the time we were in class, I've been studying you. And I feel, are you the one? Because Branches is actually a group of 30 leaders from 30 countries that Branches will work with for 30 years, right? So he said they had been getting leaders for other countries, but Nigeria, they had never gotten a leader for Nigeria. So they had been searching and searching. So during the class, he just said he had been wondering that, is this the person, that will represent us in Nigeria? And then after I started the application process, about 7 stages before you could get into that group. So I finally was accepted into it. Now, what happened was, as a student, right? It was being a student that made me enter into praxis. Praxis was the first place, right? Then within praxis, I met branches or their representative. And then I'm now a member of branches, right? Two of them are coming to Nigeria. I mean, branches is located in the US, but they are coming to Ogbomoso in May, right? To come see, thank you. All right. To come see what, the ecosystem look like and to see how they can support what is going on here. That was because of being what? A student. You have to be a student perpetually. Perpetually. Say, I will be a lifelong student. All right, because of time, let's move. Let's move quickly. Number 3, serve your way to greatness. Serve your way to greatness. How many people watched that movie, Pride, many years ago? Alpha Sule. I mean, how many people remember that, if you are too big to serve, you are too small to lead. An attitude that gives you altitude is what? Service. It's very, very, very funny nowadays. Like, it's actually very funny nowadays that people don't like to serve anymore. And I think it's because of the external environment. People are always saying, my mate is now doing this. My mate is now doing this. So instead of actually looking for what will work for people for themselves, they are looking at their mates. And they are like, hey, my mate's already driving a Benz. Or my mate is already, building a house for his mother. And then they leave service behind. Service. I mean, how did I, what's it called? Like, in 2019, we were in the office for a company retreat. And then at night, right, I just said, let me rest a bit. I just got a message on my phone. Okay, so the last time I chatted with you, you said you needed a break. You needed to rest a bit. What do you think about going to Israel to rest? I was like, interesting. I said, I don't mind. And the person was like, okay, can you send me your passport data page and all of that? And then I sent that. He said, okay, what's your grandfather's name or something like that? I said, I'll have to ask. He said, can you do it urgently? Can you do it urgently? Like, I want to put your name on the list right now. So I made a trip to Israel at 0 cost to myself in 2019 because I served this person. Now, let me explain how I served. So you remember this woman I mentioned earlier that made me meet Leke Elder? So when we first met, anytime she discovered I was a writer, like, I write. So anytime she wants to write an official thing, she will send it to me that, help me proofread this. So I'll proofread. And then later she'll say, let me write this speech. I'll write the speech. I was just doing those things because I loved writing. So I'll just do it. So one day she mentioned to this other person that, hey, JD writes, so, and then next thing this person reaches out to me and says, hello, JD, I have a book I want to write. Can you help me with it? And I was like, hey, no problem, right? So I told the person, no problem. So when I was done telling the person, no problem, I now told this person that introduced me to him that, so this is what this person said. And she said, did you give him your bill? I said, well, I didn't. I didn't put a price tag to it. I just feel that, he will do what's right by me, simple. I just said, he will do what's right by me. So I worked on this book, did everything. In fact, I went extra mile, right? Because I wasn't even thinking of, getting paid. I was just like, I'll do this stuff. So the next thing was this person just said, hey, thank you for the book. Can you send me your account number? I'm going to send somebody to send you money. So the next thing, the person sent money, 250K. Okay. As at that time, if I wanted to even build, maybe I would not have built up to that because it was more like a passion project. So he sent 250,000 naira. After a while, that was when he now sent that message that, hey, you said you wanted to take a break. Come, let's go to Israel. That kind of thing. Now, I made that trip to Israel. And then one morning, on the last day of our trip, in fact, 2 things happened in Israel. Many things, but 2 stand out. So on the last day of our trip, I was sitting on the breakfast table. We're having breakfast. And then next thing, I decided not to sit, where I normally sat, so I sat with 2 women. So then we started introducing ourselves. Hello, so yeah, what do you do? I said, oh, this is what I do. I'm also a writer. You're a writer? Oh, wow, you're a writer. The next thing was, I've been wanting to write a book all this while. Okay, interesting. That was another book project came in. Then the other person on the table was also wanting to write a book. I was in Addis Ababa when I just I've been trying to reach you. I've been trying to reach you. Please, you are the one that will write my book. I don't want any other person to write my book. Another book project came out of that. But the first person that I wrote a book for, I didn't collect anything. But she's one of our strongest clients at Ennovate Lab right now. One of our strongest clients. She's in Scotland. So she brings business from there to us. Just from serving. But that was not the end. So there was a particular day. How many people know Oba of Olorun Agbaye, Nathaniel Bassey's song? The woman, right? So she was on that trip as well. So, one day we were meant to go somewhere, I think Nazareth or something like that. So I entered the bus, and then the next thing was, as I sat down, Oba just removed. So she came into the bus as well. She now removed somebody's bag from beside a woman because she wanted to talk to the woman. She now put the bag beside me. So when the woman that owned the bag entered, she said, so Oba now told the woman, so that was how the lady now sat down beside me. So as we were going, we just started talking. Like, so what do you do? What do you do? And I began to explain what I did. She was like, interesting. So I told her about Ogbomoso Innovation Challenge, right? And she now said, so why have you not done it again? We said, well, donations actually helped us do the first one. So we're waiting for, donor support. The next thing, this lady said, do you know what? There's one $4,000 that I've been asking what I'm meant to do with it. I've been asking. But the moment you said, I just knew that I should split it into two and give you half. That was how she gave me $2,000. Say, serve your way to greatness. Very important. There are doors of access you enter just by service. Which, if you even had money, you will not be admitted. But service will help you access those things. Are we getting it? All right, because of time. Number 4, delayed gratification is intelligent patience. Delayed gratification is intelligent patience. A lot of times we want things now. I mean, like, what I do, delayed gratification is intelligent patience. So if you want to exercise intelligent patience, demonstrate delayed gratification. What does delayed gratification mean? It means you're willing to wait a bit more for what you desire. There was one experiment they did many years ago. It was a marshmallow experiment. If you go on YouTube, you can search it, marshmallow experiment. So they called some children and they said, so they called them one by one. They now said, this is a marshmallow, right? Or these are marshmallows. If you don't eat this marshmallow after 5 minutes, we'll give you one more. Shake it. So they now put the children inside a room where the children did not know anybody was observing them. There are this one-way glass, right? So people will stand at the other side. They can be seeing you, but you can't see them. On the front, it will look like a mirror. So the children were there, one after the other. So there was one particular child. The child will smell it. And then, walk around, scratch the head, come back. There was one child, the moment the child entered, I'm like, I can't wait. The other one waited for a while. We put the head on the table. After a while, he ate small. Drop it back. Walk. Came back again, ate another small. And after a while, I just threw everything inside the mouth. After they finished that scene, I think it was one boy or so that didn't eat the marshmallow. They now tracked these children's life for many years. They discovered that the one that didn't eat it was the most successful of all of them. Because to exercise restraint, to be able to exercise self-control, to say no now for a future gain is a superpower. Are you getting it? To be able to say no now. I've had people telling me, leave Ogbomoso. What are you doing in Ogbomoso? You. If you come to Lagos now, you explode. I'm like, you have not seen what I'm saying. Let me just stay here. I'll stay here. In due course of time, it's people that will be coming to meet us here. That's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth, sir. That's the truth, sir. That's the truth. There was a particular time somebody actually offered me a job in Ghana. Like, come and help us lead. It was an international organization. Come and help us lead this stuff in Ghana. The person said, I've been thinking whether I should even tell you at all, because I know that your answer will be no. And when the person finally said it, I said, Ogumosho, that's the focus. We are staying here. It doesn't look like anything right now. It doesn't look like anything. But in due course of time, it's just a matter of time. Say a matter of time. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. When you have an internal picture that is stronger than the external, it's a matter of time. You get the picture. So delayed gratification is another attitude for what? For altitude. You need to be able to say, if somebody comes to you now and tells you that, oh boy, fast money, just, more they use your account, we'll just drop the money for inside. Say, which money? Where is the money from? Forget. I mean, you don't need to know. Just give us your account. But you know that it is Yahoo money. It might make you get a car very fast or something. But that's not the true definition of success. It's not the kind of success that you will be able to sleep well. You always be looking at your back. That's how that success is. But when you are able to wait, it's also the same thing in terms of, what's it called? Young men and women, like getting so, under pressure to have sex. The regrets will always linger one way or the other. So just delaying it till you get married, where you can express it without guilt, without any fear. I mean, why not just wait? You get the picture. So delayed what? Gratification. All right, next one. Number 5. Never say never. Have you heard that? Can you repeat after me? It's an attitude. It's called grit. They call it grit. Some of the people that I've seen that demonstrated grit. I mean, how many people know Michael Jordan, the basketballer? Kai. I saw the last game he played, he was going to retire. Zinedine Zidane, till today, I always feel pain for that man. The last game of his career, the last game that should have been his best, it should have been like the peak of his career, that the highlight should have been bringing him joy. But I know today, the man most likely will never be watching the highlights of that game. They were playing Italy, Abi, in the final of the World Cup. And what was said was that Materazzi insulted his mother. Nobody heard. He heard. Zinedine Zidane heard. But he could not shake it off. You insulted my mother. That was how he went to butt the guy on the chest. And the guy cuckoo fell down too. And they gave him a red card. They gave Zinedine a red card. So on his last game, he was given a red card. And his team now lost the game. I know if he was not given a red card, they will have won. So 2 things. A red card, his team now lost. It was his final game. So there was no remedy. So when I saw Michael Jordan's game, his final game, Kai. Was it Michael Jordan? Yes, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant? I think it's Kobe Bryant. This guy played, it was Kobe Bryant. Kai. Like, they were leading them, right? They were leading them. And in basketball, if they are leading you, sometimes it's difficult to overturn the deficit, particularly if the other team is as good. But this was his last game. You could literally see the guy. This was how he was breathing. But it was like, I need to win this game. And single-handedly, for the last seconds of the game, he was the only one, like, it was as if he was all over the court. If you could go to YouTube, just type it, Kobe Bryant's final game. You'll see what I'm trying to say. I can't really describe it. If you are very familiar with basketball, you understand what it means. Like, he won the game with almost the last shot of the game. And then the next thing, the buzzer rang. That was never say never. That was somebody that was not going to accept defeat until he gave it his all. Sometimes when people are coding and then a bug is disturbing them. And they're like, this is too hard, Joe. This is too hard. And they just do one kurukere stuff. Just patch it and let it go. But when you have a never say never attitude, mind you, never say never attitude help you to encounter flashes of creativity. That was what happened to Archimedes, who shouted Eureka. How many people know that story? Eureka. Like the king gave him an assignment that he had been cracking his brain, cracking it. He didn't know. Okay. He didn't know exactly what the answer. So what was the problem? The king suspected that people that were selling gold to him were duping him. That the gold they were selling was not original. But he didn't know how he could solve the problem. He didn't know how he could know which one was correct or which one was not. So he now gave the assignment to Archimedes. So Archimedes had been cracking his head like, what could it be? So you see, it was never say never that made his mind keep on working even when he was not thinking about it. So the moment he entered the bathtub, right? He wanted to have his bath. So he entered the bathtub and then water was displaced. He just connected. Yes, I've got it. According to history, they said he ran naked to the king's palace. That yes, I found it. What was the solution? He said, bring the bars of gold. We'll put them inside water. We'll know how much this one displaces and how much this one displaces. So real gold, if it is not contaminated, will displace consistently the same amount of water. That's how we got Archimedes' principle. Are we getting it? And he solved. It was because his mind did not give up. He kept working. And that's what happens most of the time. I've also found that to be true. When I've been cracking my mind on something, like I'm very insistent that this problem, I will solve you. I will solve you. It can just be when you're in the bathroom or when you are walking on the road or when you are just thinking of something else. It will just strike you. Say, wow, this is the answer. But a lot of people don't arrive at answers because they give up too easily. They give up too quickly. Say, I will not give up too easily. All right. Number 6, practice gratitude. Practice gratitude is one of the greatest attributes of those who will fly high. Practicing gratitude. If you don't know how to say thank you to people who have helped you, you might think it doesn't matter, but it does. You know, Yorubas have said, Eni toba monuro. Then the Yorubas now said, Eni toba dupe ore ano, atu shaking ari omirogba. It might seem like it doesn't work, but me, I've seen it work again and again and again. Okay, so early last year, I started a farm, right? So, started a farm. I mean, when I finished Lautech, I studied agronomy. I never believed I would go back to farming, like farming. I mean, no. But early last year, something happened in 2020. So what happened was somebody helped me 10 years. Somebody helped me in 2010. What the person did for me, like shaped my life. So in 2020, I was now in a retreat and I was just, talking to God about what, 2020 and beyond will look like. So the next thing was the Lord said, go and appreciate people that have helped you, particularly this person. So I typed and I began to explain to the person how the help he did for me then led to this and this and this and this and this. So by the time, thank you. Okay. By the time the person read everything, person was like, like you mean this thing that I consider little actually led to this. After some months, Bessie just called me. Hey, Dari, is my uncle. What projects can we do together in Nigeria? I mean, it's in the US. What projects can we do together? I think I like things related to agriculture. And next thing, we co-founded an agriculture company. I didn't have to put one dime. Okay, I think the only thing was I put my former card down. Here you get for the farm project. That was the only thing I put down. But millions have gone into that project. Multi-millions have gone into that project. But it was simply because of what? Gratitude. Say gratitude. In fact, one major assignment I'm going to give us today. List at least 4 people that have been of tremendous help to you. Some of us, it was somebody that paid our WAEC fee. Some of us, for somebody that, told us that, Lautech is doing admission now. Or SQI is doing this training. So somebody that told us. And we have never gone back to say thank you. So draw up a list of at least 4 people and tell them thank you and tell them why you are thanking them. May I let you know, even if it's a rich person that helped you, rich people, like a lot of people don't thank them. And in fact, if you want to thank these people, if you want to thank anybody, if you want to exercise gratitude, you can also just add airtime. Like, please help me manage this 200 naira airtime. Even if it's a rich person, I've seen rich people that felt astounded when I just sent them one little thing. In your mind, you'll be like, what can you give this person? But, that's what every other person thinks as well. So nobody will give them anything. So the day somebody gives them, somebody gave a very wealthy person. Like, this person is one of the, for the person to think of buying a land in Banana Island, and it was just a small thing. He just told his wife, what do you think about buying a land in Banana? I said, that one is, we have a house in VGC. It's enough. Somebody now went to their house, bought crate of egg. I said, I brought crate of egg. If you see the way the man was excited, telling his wife, come and see what? Because every other person is after taking from them. Are we together? No time. All right, last one. Never bite the fingers that fed you. Never bite the fingers that fed you. It becomes very easy to do when you taste some level of success. So you look at people that helped you and you'll be like, I could have done it without them. What exactly did they do? Never bite the fingers that fed you. Thank you very much.